Welcome to Drink Beer, Think Beer, the podcast that gets to the bottom of every pint. I'm John Hall, and this week I'm excited to be joined by Tim Ogden of Deviant Libations in Florida for a conversation that revolves around inclusivity in the beer space and creating a tap room that reflects personality and passion. First, please go visit allaboutbeer.com for original articles, reviews, news, insights, and podcasts. You can listen to shows like Brewer to Brewer and the All About Beer podcast simply by searching All About Beer wherever you listen to shows. This show and all of the work we do is supported by you. Please go visit patreon.com/allaboutbeer. That helps keep the content fresh. A few bucks goes a long way to fund writers, photographers, creators, and editors. And if you'd like to learn more about advertising on this show, please email info@allaboutbeer.com. Speaking of that, Shopify's already taken the cash register online, helping millions sell billions around the world. But did you know that Shopify can do the same thing at your retail store? Give your point of sale system a serious upgrade with Shopify. Sign up for a $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/drinkbeer. That's all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/drinkbeer to take your retail business to the next level today. Go to shopify.com/drinkbeer. This is the last of the shows that I recorded during the Florida Brewers Guild Conference this past summer, and I was grateful to meet and spend time with Tim Ogden. Ogden started homebrewing in the late 1990s, and after moving to Florida at a time when craft beer was far less accessible, they became an avid homebrewer out of necessity. It soon became apparent that working in the industry would be a dream come true. So they started out at Hops, a brewpub chain, and then moved on in 2009 to help grow Cigar City Brewing. In 2008, after receiving a scholarship for the concise brewing course at the Siebel Institute, granted by the Florida Brewers Guild, Ogden served 2 terms on the Guild Board of Directors. Tim is known for adjunct sweet stouts, fruity IPAs, crisp, clean lagers, and not-so-tart sour ales, and has a passion for constant reinvention and blurring of the boundaries between styles. Tim leverages creativity and personality to navigate the space between traditional beer and things a little less common to create beverages that are unique and fun, while also being accessible to a wide array of people. They're intent on creating a space of radical inclusivity where all are not only accepted, but genuinely feel welcome. Here's our conversation. I spend some time in Florida, not a lot of time in Florida. And so when I come down to a conference like this, I always reach out to people in advance, people that I trust. And I say, who should I be talking to for this show? And Sean Norquist, from the director of the Florida Brewers Guild, put your name right up on top of folks that I should be talking to. And the fun thing is then going down the rabbit hole of learning about your brewery, learning about everything that you're doing, and then, sort of thinking about this conversation in advance. And Sean has never steered me wrong. In all of my research in advance, I've been trying to get a handle on Deviant Libations and what it is. And with a lot of breweries, it's easy to do. Of like, oh yeah, this is what they're doing. Yours has been a little bit harder to pin down, and I think that's sort of a fun thing. So I don't often ask this question on the show right off the bat, but tell me about your brewery and what it is, what it means to you, and how it's been growing in the community.
Yeah, that's Deviant is queer as fuck, and metal as fuck. It's, it's a weird thing. It's an explosion of my brain, I suppose. And I've really tried to kind of cultivate that in the front of house experience, like just kind of warm and inviting and a little bit fucking creepy.
Okay.
Sometimes, like you might,
I don't know if I've heard a brewery describe themselves as that way before.
I wouldn't not creepy like you think, but like there's not like kind of, like there's a little. I found a little baby doll at a clothing exchange that my partner hosts quarterly.
Okay.
And I decided to hide it inside this prototyped La Marchand box light fixture. And then it looked super cute and weird and a little bit creepy. So I took it out and drilled a bunch of holes in the baby's heads and put 16 penny nails in.
Sure.
And made it a little baby pinhead. Like, it's, like, it's just weird. Horror film, but like with hot pink floors and kind of hot and just warm and like inviting, and date night, guys night, ladies night.
Yeah.
A place for community to kind of, like any community, like all communities, to kind of coexist and,
I like that idea of the explosion of your brain, the what's in your head going into the place, right? Because for a long time, there's a lot of breweries that were just, it was, I think M. Sauter's written about this, and, we've talked about this on other shows, but just, okay, we got our Edison bulbs, we got our metal chairs, we got our Citra Mosaic IPA, we got our Mumford & Sons playing, and it's sort of your brewery starter kit kind of thing, and everything was sort of cookie cutter. And I've really been enjoying and trying to hone in on breweries with intention, breweries that are true representations of the creator's space. And I imagine it's got to be rewarding in a lot of ways, but also really difficult in a lot of ways to have a vision that is not in the craft beer mold or, the modern brewery mold. Is that accurate?
Well, for me, no. I'm just not normal, I guess.
Okay.
So and that's kind of the point is I wanted, and I've worked at a lot of those places, and I can enjoy and appreciate the simplicity of we're a brewery. It's product first. It's about the, it's like rock and roll. It's like Kiss. Is your gimmick stronger than your band? you
Yeah.
know? Or like Ghost is a better example of that. I've grown to enjoy Kiss a lot more over the years. The closer I get to 50, I think it's the Melvins covering Kiss songs.
Okay.
That's done it for me. I'm like, yeah, that's a good song. Anyway, whatever. Just a band with no gimmick that's a badass band is badass. And I would say the same about breweries. And so I'm not knocking that model personally when I say I want a little pomp and circumstance on my tasting room.
Sure.
I really wanted it I've got kids, I'm not there every second as much as I would love to be at the brewery every second the brewery is open, and everybody, hey guys, come to my spot, come see me. Yeah. I'm not there sometimes, and I still want it when I'm not there to feel like, oh, Tim's here. This is Tim's place. I wanted my place to greet all of my customers with a hug of familiarity, as though that we were besties, and I was there giving it in person. Yeah. And that's kind of, so it was just kind of fun. It wasn't really once I had the thought to do that, it was just I just let that thought kind of guide the subsequent decisions.
How is that translated into the beers themselves?
In the same kind of way, right? So, just put some personality on it. I don't have I have licensing for malt beverage, wine, and distilled spirits. And so, I intend to kind of blurry the lines on those a little bit. Obviously, it has to come out of one license or the other. But this kind of idea of where I'm just often finding myself thinking very abstractly in any kind of creative outlet. Yeah. With the liquid that would include just doing different things with beer or with spirits or with wine, or something a little bit more than like, oh well, this is I'm making a braggot.
Sure.
Yeah.
Is that where your creativity is taking you these days? Is it the braggot universe, or when you're thinking about those three and trying to combine, trying to blur the lines, as you say, where does that creativity start, and where has it led you?
Oh, where does it start? I've done barrel-aged sour beers in the past, and will again in the future. Like it's like a barrel-aged sour beer, like emulating some kind of cocktail,
sure,
or its own cocktail, mm-hmm. but just bringing itself into the cocktail world. I did a collaboration with Band of Sorrows, like kind of a alt outlaw country band, in Tampa. It was called I Like Whiskey, I think was the name of the song. It was like a whiskey sour. It was a whiskey sour ale. That was a awesome mixer for whiskey sour. Also, I mean, you could taste the whiskey in it, but also you
add a little bit more. And
yeah,
I like that. You've done a lot of collaborations with bands in the past, and even just before we started talking, you were talking about future ideas that you'd like to do with musicians. I always like the relationship between beer and music, or fermented beverages and music, and it's something that I think a lot of brewers think about but don't always put into practice. And I'm wondering for you how those relationships have evolved, how those collaborations have evolved, and what you see as sort of like the state of them right now, of the intersection of beer and music, and how they can complement each other, they can reach out to new folks, they can grow a business.
I don't know. Sorry.
No, you could.
I don't know how, how did it be? That was a lot of questions.
There was a lot of questions. Yeah, sorry, man. Yeah.
No. It's okay.
I'm
it's
stacking them up on you.
Yeah. So how did it be? Like, I'm a musician, I guess. How did it begin? To me, it just makes sense. Like, the symbiotic relationship between music and beer is, to me, obvious as somebody who's been on the stage and drank a bunch of beer, or someone who's been on the brew platform and blasted a lot of music.
Yeah.
We're already feeding each other. We might as well acknowledge that,
Yeah.
A lot of them have developed in different ways. Wayne Wombles was the
Cigar City, yeah.
Yeah, he was the first one that I ever heard of talking about doing a band beer collaboration. It was with some of his buds from Alabama.
Okay.
Some dudes that he knew. I told him I thought it was super cool because we worked together. He was my boss.
Yeah.
At the time. And I guess in the future, I was like, man, I want to do this thing, but I'm not trying to cut into your bit. And he's like, dude, no, it's just, it's fine. So then I, reached out. A lot of them, they've evolved in different ways. Like each one I've been reached out to a few times. I've been, like, one just came up. One of the earlier ones just kind of came up. Just having beers where I was, as a local St. Pete artist, we were just kind of talking about, like, he liked my beer, and I love this band, and it's like we're kind of gushing over each other a little bit.
Yeah.
And we're like, I was like, fuck it, you want to do a collaboration? Like, let's do a thing. And they put out a 7-inch, and I put out a 750, and it was rad.
Do they have to match? Do they have to? Is there a synergy, or is there a like a creative thread between
the liquid
and the song and the music?
It varies on how each one, just like any collaboration, I like to leave a lot of flexibility, right? I mean, it's like a collaboration is like two people talking to each other, and I have I don't know, this idea of like the ideal collaboration in my head, and it's, it basically leaves the flexibility for each one to be like, there's like, I don't want to be stuck in a mold. I hate it when I catch myself and actually that beer was one of the first ones where I kind of caught myself doing that, and I was so resistant until I was like, because Alex wanted to put some Cynthiana grapes. What kind of grapes were they? It was muscadine.
Okay.
I think it was muscadine. Yeah.
I can't help you here. I don't know this beer.
No. I know. It's silly. It was a double IPA. It was a double IPA with muscadine grapes that were grown in Dade City, and so I went to the farm and picked them up. And anyway, before I was like, I don't want to put grapes in the beer.
Right.
Like I was just kind of like,
you're fighting it. Yeah.
I was fighting. He's like, dude, the band is Alexander and the Grapes. Come on, let's put some grapes in the beer. And I was like, no, Nelson. We'll use lots of Nelson. And
sure, we'll get the characteristics.
And I'll get this Vireman Special W's got these really cool dark fruit kind of, like we'll push it in, and we added the grapes, and he was right, and it was awesome. I put them in the whirlpool, like a fuck ton of them.
Okay.
Yeah. Pressed them, froze them. Thawed them, put them in the whirlpool, and
it worked.
It was rad, and I don't know why it was like I was kind of resistant, and then somebody was like, "Hey, dude, I got these grapes. I heard you're doing Alexander grapes. I got these grapes at the farm. You want?" I'm like, "Yeah, let's do it."
All right, yeah.
Boop 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 boop, and yeah. So, but I mean, I caught myself like just I'm like, no, man, take the fucking guardrails off. Like,
does beer need more of that? Fewer guardrails these days?
I don't know what beer needs. I don't know. That's the answer for me.
Yeah.
Right? It's like, or at least, I mean, in general, that's the answer for me, but especially in a collaboration where, I want to be able to, like, I was talking to the Sam Black Church collaboration, Ben Crandall, the guitar player, was like, we were just kind of talking about the beers and whatnot, and he was like, dude, what about like a rosemary IPA? And I was like, man, I don't know. And he's like, do me a favor. He's like, don't think about it too hard. Just grab a sprig of rosemary and put it in your IPA and walk away for a minute and come back. He's like, just let me know what you think. And I was like, and I did exactly that. I went right to the walk-in and I grabbed some fresh rosemary and fucking.
Yeah.
I was like, holy fuck, dude, that was rad. It was his wife's idea. He was like, Kim had this fucking rad idea. It's like,
I like that the musicians are coming up with these ingredients and these processes, and they're steering the beer idea, as opposed to, I feel like in some other collaborations, it's you walk into the brewer's
there's a
sanctum and you're like,
times. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you
No,
off.
go ahead. No, disconnect now.
Yeah, there's a disconnect sometimes. It's like, sometimes it's very like, hey, I just want to pay homage, and we're going to do beer stuff, and you do metal stuff, and, I think it would be rad one day to do a collab with somebody and fucking, do like, they come in and have some ideas on the beer, and we cut like a fucking track or something to jump on and do some, guest vocals or some bullshit. It would just be fun.
Yeah.
Just for the sake of, and I could do that with my own band, but then it wouldn't be guest vocals. It's just me
right,
putting out my record.
Yeah.
Right.
How have these collaborations, after they're done, or these conversations, or being involved in the music scene, how has it helped evolve you as a brewer? Like, after the collaborations are done, after the the beer's released, it's put out, and you're back at a normal day at the brewery. Are there vestiges that stay with you from these that have helped you embrace beer in a different way, or new recipes in a new way?
Yeah, well, I mean, that's kind of the idea of collaborations in general to me, is like kind of shared creative experiences, right? Where, like, if my knee jerk is to say, I don't want to do that, like, before speaking that, thinking like, why is that a knee jerk? Why am I like resistant to this atypical idea?
Yeah.
And so, that's why I love collaborations in general, with people who make beer and people who make beer professionally, people who make beer as home brewers, people who just like to drink craft beer.
Yeah. I get it. I keep seeing on your social media, on your site, and now on your shirt that you're wearing sitting across from me, "In Good We Trust."
Mm-hmm.
What does that mean?
We trust in good. Like, good, just be good. Be a good, just...
Everything?
I mean...
Like, I'm trying to unpack this. Like, I understand it, but I'm also trying to...
Well, it's kind of like as
it.
far as a tagline, the full tagline is "Deviant is good, in good we trust."
Okay.
Right? It's like we're good. We're good humans running the organization. We're good to one another. Our product is good. It's... but more importantly, the former, like, just be kind. We're kind.
Yeah.
We trust in kindness. Like, I mean, if anything is going to take us forward into a positive future, present, really.
Yeah.
It's goodness.
More in a moment, but first, thanks to this episode's sponsor. You know that's the sound of another sale on your online Shopify store. But did you know Shopify powers selling in person too? That's right. Shopify is the sound of selling everywhere. Online, in-store, on social media, and beyond. Sign up for a $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/drinkbeer. That's all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/drinkbeer to take your retail business to the next level today. Shopify.com/drinkbeer. And now back to the conversation with Tim Ogden. You were talking before we got started on the tap room and the culture around it, and you're talking about radical inclusivity.
Mm-hmm.
What does that mean? And how is that in practice?
It means that everybody is welcome to be their true self in our space, and it's a kind of a core value. It's, I mean, I don't want anybody to feel like they're unwelcome unless they're coming in and making others feel unwelcome.
Sure.
Right? And that's different. Like, right? Gatekeep the gatekeepers.
Right.
Other than that, like, come, let's party. Really pretty simple. I mean, I think it's... So, we've tried to build the space that is not... It's not just like tolerating or accepting the subcultures. It is like any and all of the subcultures should feel at home and welcome in my space.
Yeah.
And people who primarily frequent Chili's and things of that nature that are a little bit more like just normal, less weird folk.
Okay. A little more buttoned up. Yeah.
A little more buttoned up, right? Absolutely welcome in our space. It's not so over the top that it's like, keep the normies away. It's not that. It's like everybody's welcome, Various subcultures feel very much at home. And
that's something that craft has struggled with, of making fully inclusive spaces, I think. There's I'm a straight middle-aged white guy. I can walk into most breweries and I'm not going to, nobody's going to blink kind of thing. But, like when I'm traveling with my wife, sometimes she's like, wow, I'm the only woman in here. Or, there's, just a subculture that exists that in beer, and I think in beer in a large way, that hasn't fully embraced that inclusivity, not even radical inclusivity, but just inclusivity altogether. I know you can only speak for where you are right now, but with all the conversations that have been happening, all of the resources that are out there, all of the awareness, is there potential for a tide change in beer towards that?
I mean, I would hope so. I read an article, I think it was like 2006. I wish I remembered the name of the author. It was New Brewer Magazine.
Okay.
Maybe it was '07. Whatever. It was my first job, early in my first job as a brewer. And it was just talking about, keeping women in mind in your tasting room build. And that was basically the crux of the thing, is that, hey, don't forget, women love beer too.
Right.
And that really kind of stuck with me, that, in building, when it's time to build my place, like it will be obviously like my kind of expanded target demographic, like I guess embracing my own femininity in the expression, and that's just I do identify non-binary.
Okay.
Which has been I guess a little bit of a journey, I guess, accepting my own. Like, I've always felt a little ladylike in some ways, and I'm not trying to make this interview about that. But yeah, like that article, I guess, is what I'm saying. That article got me kind of thinking about including other, like all the genders, but not just other genders, like other, it's not just a clubhouse for the white dudes.
Sure.
It's for everybody. It's for, like, my brain got stuck. I don't know where it was trying to go, but a good, I love it. Simultaneously love and hate. It's like it's a common thing for women to come up. We're talking in a conversation, and they're like, I just love that. We're talking about beer. Like, you're, presenting masculine person.
Yeah.
Talking with a woman about beer. Like, I'm like, why is that? I'm glad that I'm glad that we're achieving our goal of, like, that inclusivity.
Yeah.
But it also reminds me that there is, I guess, to your point, room for other people to, I guess that they're like not, I don't know. I guess I don't like hearing women's stories about being dismissed at other places.
Sure.
Like when, like not talking about beer with you.
Right. Yeah. Or bypassing women to go to somebody. Yeah.
Right. And so, hearing those things, I like that they have the positive experience at my place, like, a lot. And it's the point. And I want all kinds of people, women, non-binary folk, trans folk, everybody, all of the LGBTQIA plus,
yeah,
and etc. Like everybody. Like, yeah, we talk about beer, we'll talk about whiskey.
Yeah,
let's talk about this weird, like, I can't wait to make Starboard Port is this line of products that I have in mind of like a port, made like a port.
Okay.
Except malt beverage instead of wine.
Okay.
And there's like a whole bunch of these products.
Trying to put that together in my mind of what that would.
Trying not to give away too much
That's
until
fine.
It's in the bottle.
That's fine. No, that's fine. We can, yeah. Yeah, don't give away the trade secrets here.
Starboard Ports.
Okay.
Have you been on a boat before?
Yeah, once or twice. Yeah.
Okay, so you're familiar with starboard and port?
Yes.
Right. So it's the starboard port.
Okay.
It's the left right. It's the Sternbow.
All of these nautical terms are, that's, I dig that.
It's wild, It's
yeah. You're reminding me of something that I used to say leading up to the 2016 election, and even before that, about beer being a great equalizer and beverages being a great equalizer. And I feel like things have gotten so fractured that I'd forgotten that I used to talk about that, about people being able to put differences aside, or
and just have a beer,
because they were there for the beer, and regardless of where you were leaning politically, what you thought socially, what you were, like your life, like we were all sitting in the tap room for the beer first, and that was just something that could unite us. And I mean, COVID probably helped distract us from all of that as well. But in the way that you're talking about your place and those conversations, it reminded me that there is still good that exists, and that there is that beginning commonplace for interaction.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty. It feels good to be able to be our authentic selves. Yeah. I guess my brain got lost a little bit in that, because I also love that beer kind of can and does unite us. Yeah. I always second guessing myself, hoping that I'm haven't come across as yet as like knocking the typical, brewery, or I think I worry too much about coming across as arrogant. Okay. I'm sorry. I don't know why.
No, that's
I'm like,
I don't know where to go from there. I think most brewers need to have that certain level of confidence that are in there, and
I'm very confident. Yeah. There's not, but I mean, it's like we're talking about separating from the herd, and the herd is like a lot of my friends and family. Sure. And
but that's how new things are born, and that's how, if we're all just staying in the same lane, or, that's how we get back to one style of beer that's out there, or one sort of place, or the chain restaurants that you were talking about before. Like, we need these off-ramps that start new roads. We need these, beer culture needs that, culture needs that.
Culture needs a lot more unity and, accepting of flamboyance and, absolutely. And just kindness. Like, culture needs that. Every person, family.
I've been asking folks on the show for a while now the green door question, with the premise being the television show The Good Place, and the final season introduces a concept of a green door that the characters can walk through and be wherever they want to be, doing whatever they want to be doing. And so if we had a green door on our plane of existence, and this conversation ended, and you could walk through it and be at any pub or any brewery anywhere in the world, where would you like to go? Who would you like to be with? And what would you like to be drinking?
Oh my goodness. So the difficulty in that question is being a polyamorous person with, like, I want to be with, like, so there's a lot of people that I love, a lot of places, and really my first thought was
go with that. Yeah.
Well, my first thought was like, well, is time a factor? Like, does it have to be this moment, or is it any point
it's whenever?
So it's whenever, whatever. Yeah. Right. So, but then my second thought was like, it doesn't even really matter, because man, there are fucking so many people that I want to see that I haven't seen in forever, and I'm gonna go to. I can't pick one place right off the bat like that, man.
Okay. I didn't realize this would be such a stumper, but I like that your brain's working overtime on this one.
Yeah, no, it's Falling Rock was my knee jerk. I want to go to Falling Rock.
I do too. Yeah.
And I'd want to teleport like a shitload of people with me. Like, can they all have green doors too?
Sure.
Yeah. So
green
we're
doors
all,
for everybody.
Yeah, we're green. Yeah, a whole shitload of us are going to
Falling Rock and drinking Blind Pig.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
A lot of Blind Pig.
I think I drank all of the Blind Pig the very last time that I was there, and it was...
I went one year, and I ordered 3 Blind Pigs quantity so many times that eventually I ordered 3 for myself. Like, I just got so used to, like...
Just picking them out, 3 at a time?
Yeah, it was like 2 of them left, and I went back, was staying, and so I went back for 1 more, and I got 3 more.
Yeah.
Because, you know, as you do.
As you do.
As you do. I'm like, oh, yeah, that's right. My buds just got on the 15th Street Mall bus.
I'm going to stay here with these Blind Pigs.
These 3 Blind Pigs.
That's, I do miss that bar. People should be going to your brewery. People should be going to your bar. How do they find it? Where are you located?
3800 North Nebraska Avenue in Tampa, Florida. On a piece of property between Stratford and Virginia Avenue with the parking in the rear.
This is very specific. I like that.
Yeah, we're in Tampa. We're in Ybor Heights.
Okay.
Yeah, just north of Ybor City, just south of Southeast Seminole Heights. We're like, it's a cute little neighborhood. I love it there.
Nice. It's another reason to go visit Tampa. There's always a lot of good reasons, but now there's another one. So, thanks for doing all you're doing, and thanks for being on the show this week. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, John.
What is a standout tap room you've come across lately? Tell me about it. You can email me. It's John Hall. That's JOHNHOLL at allaboutbeer.com, or tell me on X at John_Hall. That's also how you can get in touch with questions, comments, and guest suggestions. A reminder, go visit allaboutbeer.com. There you can check out the podcast page, the shop page, and read great new content, as well as the archives going back to 1979. Don't forget, follow All About Beer on social media at All About Beer. And if you're interested in supporting journalism in the beer space, email us at info@allaboutbeer.com or go to patreon.com/allaboutbeer. Speaking of that, here is a quick word from this episode's sponsor. Customers are rushing to your store. Do you have a point of sale system you can trust, or is it a real POS? You need Shopify for retail. Shopify POS is your command center for your retail store. From accepting payments to managing inventory, Shopify has everything you need to sell in person. Sign up for a $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/drinkbeer. That's all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/drinkbeer to take your retail business to the next level today. That's shopify.com/drinkbeer. Hey, don't forget, All About Beer has a podcast channel now. Search and subscribe on your podcast platform of choice. Steal This Beer has new episodes every Monday, and the BYO Nano podcast comes out on the 15th of every month. As for this show, Nate Schweber does the music, Jeff Quinn designed our logo, and I'm John Hall. New episodes release every Wednesday, and that's when I'm going to be back again to drink beer and to think beer.